Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going on a trip into one of the most bizarre, fascinating, and honestly, intellectually challenging phenomenons on the modern internet. We're looking at a movement that has absolutely taken the digital world by storm. And it's a topic that sounds like a total joke at first, but as we unpack the anatomy of this mock conspiracy, you're going to realize it holds a deeply profound mirror up to our modern society. So get ready because we're about to dive down a digital rabbit hole unlike any other. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of it all, I just want you to take a second and imagine something for me. Just look up at the sky. What do you see? Maybe a robin perched up on a telephone wire? Or a pigeon fluttering past your office window? Well, what if I told you that everything you've been taught about the natural world is a complete and utter lie?
Yeah, according to a massive, sprawling internet movement, those feathered creatures outside your window, they aren't animals at all. They are state-of-the-art surveillance drones, highly advanced robotic units expertly disguised as biological entities. In the official lore of this movement, these aren't birds. They're specialized avian drones equipped with high-definition cameras, audio recorders, and tracking hardware, and they are watching your every move. Welcome to the world of birds aren't real.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The Drone Conspiracy. The Aerial Lore. To really get why this movement is just so brilliant, we have to look at the incredibly detailed lore they've built up around it. I mean, this isn't just some one-off meme, it's a completely fleshed-out alternate reality. Proponents claim that the whole thing started way back in 1959, when the US government supposedly launched this highly classified covert operation. The goal? Over the next 4 decades, from 1959 to 2001, the CIA led a systematic extermination of the entire natural bird population of the United States. We're talking wild, cinematic narratives here, specialized avian toxins dropped from B-52 bombers in the dead of night. And according to the lore, by 2001, the mission was a total success. The biological birds were completely gone, entirely replaced by robotic replicas deployed across all 50 states. And the sheer scale of this fictional operation, that is exactly what makes it so wonderfully absurd. We aren't just talking about a couple of hidden cameras strapped to some bald eagles. No, the official lore dictates that billions, literally absolutely billions, of miniaturized solar-powered surveillance drones were unleashed into our skies. Every single pigeon in Central Park, every seagull out on the coast, that crow hanging out in your backyard, they are all part of an integrated trillion-dollar surveillance network. Their one and only purpose? To monitor every single movement, conversation, and daily habit of the American public right from above. Now, obviously, any good conspiracy theory needs proof, right? And the evidence fabricated for this one is just spectacular. You know those really annoying bird droppings on your windshield? Well, the movement claims those are actually liquid tracking devices used to trace civilian vehicles. And have you ever wondered why birds always sit on power lines? According to the lore, they aren't just resting up there. They're actually recharging their drone batteries directly from the city grid. They even back all this up with elaborately faked historical documents, heavily doctored photos of former presidents hanging out with mechanical pigeons, and supposed whistleblowers claiming to be ex-drone mechanics. It maintains this incredible true crime urgency about literally the most ridiculous premise imaginable. So, moving on to Section 2, Architecture of a Mock Conspiracy. Commitment to the bit. So you gotta ask yourself, why does a movement entirely dedicated to the idea that birds are drones actually gain massive real-world traction? Because people are out there actually wearing the t-shirts, they're showing up to massive rallies in cities like Memphis and Springfield, plastering bumper stickers all over the country. Well, this brilliantly illustrates how birds aren't real utilizes the exact same architecture as genuine, dangerous misinformation campaigns. It borrows the exact same language, complete with a shadowy cabal pulling the strings behind the scenes. It uses the exact same anti-establishment rhetoric, and it taps right into real fears about deep state operations. When you look closely, you realize you aren't just looking at an internet joke. You're observing the foundational mechanics of how all modern conspiracy theories are built and kept alive. Which brings us to Section 3, a mirror to misinformation, exposing the playbook. All right, we really have to pull the curtain back entirely here. This whole movement, it was actually launched as performance art by its creator, Peter Mindu, and it functions as a vital case study in media literacy. How does a wild idea spread like wildfire? Well, first, you cloak it in the right aesthetic. Mindu stayed perfectly in character during his early interviews, acting exactly like a paranoid, truth-seeking activist. Second, you utilize social media algorithms. They created these perfectly tailored TikTok videos showing glitching birds or staged chaotic confrontations. And the algorithm heavily rewarded that content because it triggered outrage and confusion. And third, you feed a sense of belonging. The movement literally funded itself by selling merch out of vans at rallies, creating this intense, in-joke community. It just proves how easily ideas spread when they target people feeling alienated and give them an us versus them mentality. So the crucial point to understand here is this concept of meta-satire. The creators of Birds Aren't Real didn't just want to pull a prank. They had a deeply serious intention hiding right beneath the hilariously absurd facade. They designed this whole thing as a cultural weapon to combat the spread of genuine misinformation. By living the bit 24/7, they proved, in real time, how absurdly easy it is to manufacture a conspiracy theory out of thin air, package it with some slick branding, and get thousands of people to eagerly play along. It was basically a massive, decentralized improv experiment meant to mock the very structure of fake news. And this brings us to a pretty heavy realization. As hilarious as rechargeable hawks and liquid tracking devices might be, we're looking at a massive, systemic problem. The internet has severely fractured our ability to distinguish between harmless satire, earnest belief, and calculated propaganda. We're living in this post-truth ecosystem where alternative facts can gain mass appeal just through sheer volume and algorithmic engagement. Think about it. If a joke can look exactly like a dangerous political conspiracy, utilizing the exact same spread mechanisms, generating the exact same fervent crowds, how do we confidently tell them apart in our daily lives? That leaves us right into Section 4, the lesson in the skies, protecting shared reality. It's time for us to move past just laughing at the imagery of drone pigeons and recognize this entire movement for what it truly is, an urgent societal warning. As the movement so brilliantly highlights, quote, the boundary between truth and fabrication is becoming increasingly porous. And that is absolutely crucial. This is the core issue of our time. When the structural foundation of a joke and the structural foundation of a damaging lie are completely identical, our shared understanding of the world is inherently at risk. The parody only works so well because the reality of internet radicalization is already so bizarre. So, just for the record, I do want to clarify something very firmly here. The birds are real. They are very much real, biological, feathered creatures flying around up there in the sky. But the way we consume information today, now that is where the real mystery begins. The next time you see a pigeon resting on a telephone wire, don't wonder if it's a surveillance drone. Wonder about the power of the stories we're told online. Wonder about how easily a cleverly edited video or a passionate rally can completely warp a community's perception of reality. I want to leave you with this final, critical question to chew on. In a digital sky filled with both facts and carefully engineered fictions, how do we know what is real? And more importantly, how can we actively protect our shared understanding of the world? Take a hard, analytical look at the media you consume. Question the algorithms that feed it to you, and carefully evaluate the communities you form online. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Remember to always keep thinking critically about the information that fills your digital skies. See you next time.